me or someone else? Should I hold off before I start?
No.
Okay.
No. Let's
Okay.
go. Somebody plow on.
Okay.
Now it is. We'll
Okay. Here goes. Good morning. I'm Lou Smith, as a lot of you already know, and for those of you who I paid to come here, thank you. For those of you who I didn't, you get double. Whatever, I paid everyone else. What we're going to talk about this morning are digital recorders and the various types that are out there and the uses of them. And to a point, I believe in audience participation, but don't anybody raise your hands because you're going to be having them up for a very long time.
Oh, shucks.
But, I might just say, shout, or as to a point, if, there are questions that come up, say, hey, Lou, and we'll try and answer them if I don't get to it later in the process. Why do some of you guys, I know that a lot of you have heard some streams, I've heard some Olympus recorders going. What are some of the reasons that you guys use digital recorders?
Choir practice.
Choir practice?
Take down quick phone numbers or addresses?
Okay.
Information.
Good. Quick information takers, that's a good thing too.
Presentation.
Presentations, yeah, actually in my list of things I mentioned like tug meetings. So yeah, that qualifies. What about some of the other things too that I use them for, I'm a Braille user, however, I have to confess to that it is more convenient to pull out a recorder and just if somebody gives me a phone number or an email if I'm at a party or a restaurant or something like that, then it's to pull out a Braille display or a slate and stylus or something like that.
Right. I still have all that stuff.
Oh, yes.
Slate and stylus. I won't do without it.
There's nothing wrong with that either. They're also good for directions or recipes.
Yep.
Sometimes I've been in a store and I've needed to record, let's say, a model number for something if I wanted to go home and get a review on and do some homework so that I could come back and be ready to bargain or dicker with the salesperson if I could, or things of that nature. So there are a lot of uses for them. The other thing too, I know a lot of us have iPhones or other phones that record, but while they have voice recorders built into them, they're not the most easily accessible, and it's easier to just actually record it on a dedicated device. And one of the other things too that some of the tech writers write about is what we call convergent technology, where we put everything in one device. And while it may be convenient, I'm a little bit paranoid, so I have stuff in several devices. I have some things in my phone, I have some things in my Braille display, I have some things on a digital recorder. So I think it's another reason so that if you lose one, you're not losing everything that way. Heaven only knows we don't want to lose any of our technology, but it can happen. So we're going to talk about some of the different recorders, I think, at this point. And I'm going to be sending some of them around. And I'll ask you not to activate them. And I know that as blind folks, we're all curious about what's in everybody else's. It's worse than Capital One. What's in your wallet? What's on your digital device? But, I'm going to send some of these around. I'm going to send out one of the more common ones because it really was the device that probably put some of these blindness-related digital recorders on. And that is a Victor Stream. The Stream is a great product. I'm going to start passing it to my right. So here we go. And the Victor Stream is really nice because one thing, Humanware writes some of the best owner's manuals of any company I've ever seen. I'm a little bit picky, but one of my pet peeves is a manual that you can't make sense out of. And Humanware owner's manuals and tutorials are very well written, so I like that. The newer Stream has some internal memory, and you can expand it by using SD cards to plug into it. It has Wi-Fi capability, so that if you've got a wireless internet connection in your house, you can download material directly to it, and it'll unpack it so you can play it. It also has a dedicated notes folder. It plays a lot of the Daisy books from, say, the Library for the Blind or Recordings for the Blind, and other companies. So it's a really good product. It's probably very well built unless you're like me, and I was telling somebody earlier, mine had an unfortunate encounter with the rear wheel of a car. And so needless to say, it didn't survive. But it also has really good transfer software if you want to transfer files to your computer. Unlike some of the other companies that don't make use of transfer software. And we're going to talk about file transfers, and we'll actually demonstrate how to do that using Windows from a digital recorder to the computer, just using the utilities that are inside of Windows, using the file commands. Another company that makes similar products to the screen is HIMS. And they made the BookSense, which really, the older BookSense was a good product. Used one, and I've been well pleased with it. It didn't have an encounter with a car, so that makes it a very reliable product. There are two new versions that HIMS makes of digital book players, the Blaze EZ and ET. Now the EZ gets mixed reviews because it has a little bit different user interface than some of the other HIMS products. One of the things they say about the EZ is that they made it so that you could, it was designed for somebody who was not as comfortable with technology. Personally, from the little I've seen and from some things that people have told me about it, I'm not so convinced that that's the answer.
Here you go, Kathy.
One of the things that sets it apart from some of the other, from say the Stream and the Bookport, which we'll talk a little bit about, is that it has OCR capability, so you can scan with it. The newer versions of the ET, which actually has a telephone keypad on the front of it, whereas the EZ only, all of your navigation is with arrow keys, basically. And I'm using broad brushstrokes here for people that are familiar with the product. But the ET actually has a telephone keypad, which for a lot of us is a little bit easier to wrap our heads around than using straight arrows to figure out what everything is and where it all goes and does and everything else. And again, this is opinion, not fact, when I make comments like that. So take it in the spirit that it's given. The ET also has color identifier capability built into it. So what they tried to do, I think, with the product is to, for the person who doesn't want to use an iPhone or an iPod with no screen, or no buttons rather, they tried to fill the gap for the person who wanted to have OCR in a portable device and color identification and money identification in a portable device, but yet didn't want to have an iPhone or an iPod that has no buttons on it. So I think that, was a nice feature. The Blaze products also have Bluetooth capability, so you could wirelessly connect them to an external speaker. Also has FM radio capability, and I'm assuming that it hasn't changed. You still need some kind of a wire for an antenna, and I'm assuming that's the case. The Blaze products also do have a pretty good chunk of internal memory, I believe something like 12 gigabytes for internal memory, but it also has the card slot. They're also in the ET, they have a dictionary option and a Skype option, which again, I think they're trying to bridge that gap. But, and again, my opinion, I wonder if we're trying to put too much into one small device that maybe, but I don't know. I haven't seen this to know how all these things work. I don't have a Bookport with me to show you either. Where's the Stream, by the way? Oh, thank you. Perfect timing. Thanks, Linwood. The Bookport was the first of these products to actually incorporate Wi-Fi into them. But it also does very similar things to the Stream and the Blaze line of products and the BookSense line of products. Another device that I didn't bring with me to make everybody happy is the pen.
Oh, yeah. I've seen that.
The Pen Friend is a great little product because you can stick labels on devices and record voice labels for them. So, for example, you could pop it on the outside of your DVDs or CDs for those of us who still use such things. Or in my case, reel-to-reel tape for those of us who use such things. How old are you? Can't remember. But no, I still have a couple of hundred reels at home.
Oh my goodness, I have some too, but I don't use them anymore.
Oh my God.
I need to transfer them.
Open reels.
I have. It's funny because I've threatened to transfer my reel-to-reels over to the computer and then burn CDs and blackmail my brothers because we were playing music when we were children. You know, but I haven't gone that far. So where were we? We're talking about the book port and its capabilities. It was really the first one. Oh,
Pen
the
Friend.
Pen Friend. Thank you.
Pen Friend.
Like I said, memory is one of the first things that goes when you get older, and I forget the next one. But the Pen Friend, it looks just like a pen, and it will also record labels. It has capability now, the newer generation, to record voice memos. And it will also play back MP3 files, so if you wanted to put your music on it, you could do that. So it's quite a versatile little device. One of the other things that we want to talk about, because it also records and does similar things to the Pen Friend, are the ID Mate family of products.
Oh, please.
The ID
Love the
Mate is a
ID Mate.
barcode reader, and it will also record voice memos, and the
Yep.
newer generation, again, will play MP3 files.
I love that thing.
Now, there's another product that is a very tiny product, very thin, has a very limited number of buttons, but it's called the Milestone. This was a product that was developed by, I think it was the Swiss Federation for the Blind, and it will also play back. It does everything that a lot of the other things do. It does not have the Wi-Fi capability, so you can't download material directly to it. So it is a very thin product. I'd say if you were to maybe put, it's probably about as thick as 2 or 3 books of matches, if at the most, stacked on top of each other. And it's triangular in shape, has a very limited number of buttons.
Which thing is this?
Say again?
Milestone.
The Milestone.
Milestone. And it has, there are a lot of things that you can buy to add on for software, like a calendar program and things of that nature. But you can also, as I say, use it where it really does a nice job of recording and has pretty decent sound quality. Some of the other products don't have quite as good a sound quality of the blindness related stuff. I'd say out of all of the ones I've seen, the Stream has some of the nicest recording quality of the blindness related digital products. Bookport also is no slouch when it comes to audio quality either.
But if I'm not mistaken, the Milestone, the big advantage that it has is that you can actually categorize your notes.
Yes, you can. The Milestone, and thanks for reminding me of that, Jerry. The Milestone is unique in that in its folder structure, you can actually dedicate like different folders to different things, like appointments, calendar, that sort of thing. So that makes for a really nice operation. The Stream and the BookSense products don't. They only have one folder for voice recordings. So as a result, it's not as easy if you want to organize your voice notes. Now let's talk about some of the stuff that's commercially available that may or may not play in library for the blind material. Probably the tiniest things are the little keychain digital recorders. They are the least expensive. They have the least amount of memory, but it's great if you want to just have something with you to put a phone number on and then take it home and copy it or do whatever you wanted to do with it. Some of them have, again, it has very limited amount of memory, and that's one of the problems with them. The other thing is they don't hold up as well. And like so many of the keychain products, that happened is that the battery probably costs almost as much as the recorder, so that when the battery goes, it's easier to A, buy a recorder than it is to replace the battery, and it's probably will cost you about the same. There's another recorder that I'm going to send around. It is called the Wilson. And I always laugh at that name because for those of you who remember the Tom Hanks movie Castaways, he was always talking to the Wilson. And in fact, their original website used to be talktothewilson.com. Because basically what he had done in this movie, he was on an island in a plane crash. And there was a volleyball that washed up on shore, and the brand name on it was Wilson. So he painted a face and eyes and nose and a mouth, and he would talk to the Wilson. And he actually called it Wilson. And in fact, one time he managed to build a raft and got away and everything else. And the ball went away and it rolled off the boat, and he was crying about Wilson, you know. But it was a great movie. The beauty of this recorder, and there are two Wilsons. There is a keychain size Wilson that actually has a decent amount of memory. Is that it's very limited amount of buttons. There are only 3 buttons. You have a record, a play, and a delete.
Wow.
And that's all there is to it. But it's a great product. Again, if if you're not comfortable with a lot of technology, it's a great little product because there's not a whole lot you can do with it. But then again, it may fill that need.
How much does it cost?
It's in the $40 price range,
Oh, not bad.
and I
Where do
haven't.
you find it?
ILA, Maxi-Aids, a lot of the blindness companies sell them. So, and it's another one of the pluses about this product, is that it's pretty widely available. And you can also find it at getthewilson.com. So, you can find
talktothewilson.com.
Not talk. It's not. That's what it used to be, Kirby. It used to be Talk to the Wilson, but it's getthewilson.com because I made the mistake of spending a lot of time searching for Get the Wilson, and I couldn't find, or Talk to the Wilson rather, and I couldn't find it. So, but I'm going to send the Wilson around. On the table in front, right by your left hand. Okay. Now they have a keychain version that doesn't have as much memory. I think the newer versions have 12 hours of memory. The keychain version has 6 hours of memory, which is probably way more than a lot of people are going to need. Again, if you're going to transfer files or just use it until you get it long enough to copy it, either in large print or braille or something
What
of
does
it.
this level you just handed me? How much time is on that?
That one is an older version. I think it only has like 8 hours.
That's still a lot.
It is. It's quite a lot. It has 2 modes of recording. They call it a high speed. I think it's high speed and low speed or something like that. But
What does that mean?
basically, it refers to the quality of the recording. They call it standard play and long play. That's what it is. I'm thinking of tape, and that's why I say high and low speed. But and even at slow speed, the quality is acceptable. It's not as easy to understand. And it's not quite honestly, it's not as high a quality as one of the other products that I'm going to be sending around in a minute, or the other product I'm going to be sending around in a minute. But it really does serve a need that I think a lot of people, and a lot of the manufacturers forget that maybe a lot of people don't need or want a lot of this stuff. And so, that, and again, that's where the plus of it is. And next, and probably no surprise to anybody, is the Olympus recorders.
Oh, yeah.
The Olympus recorders were probably the first commercial recorder that I know of that was digital, that provided any kind of talking structure in their menus.
Yeah.
I remember the very first Olympuses that I saw, we were excited about those. The one I'm going to be sending around is the DM620, which you can still find. But there is a newer one that I know of called the DM901.
Oh, yeah.
And it's in the $200 price range. And I haven't seen any place selling it below list. I know that Speak to Me sells it for those of you who want it. I've seen it listed on the Office Depot website. And I think I've also seen it on sale.
Best Buy probably.
I think I am. You talking about the 620?
The 901.
Oh, 901.
The nice thing about the 901 and I'm going to talk a little bit about it, is that it has a couple of neat things. One, you can transfer files directly into Dropbox from it. The other thing is there is an iPhone app, and I don't know how accessible it is before anybody asks, that will actually let you control the recorder remotely over Bluetooth. So, for example, Jerry could be sitting over on the far right corner of this table like he is. He could have set his DM901 in front of me and stopped and started it himself from where he's sitting. So that makes for a nice feature. Another thing that it has the capability of, let's say you used it to record a tug meeting and you wanted to take notes. It has the capability of, it'll automatically, you can set up when it's playback so that it will leave out the blank spots in a
wow.
So it would make it really nice to sort of speed listen through. It also has, I think, some kind of a compression or auto level control that's a little different because they call it voice balancing, where it will automatically equalize all the levels of the speakers talking. So that, let's say Vanessa's dog Fiona was grumbling, we would hear that as loud as you would my talking. So, yeah, just as an example. I'm going to send the Olympus around. A lot of you have seen it.
I like this one. Ooh,
Now,
yeah.
question.
3 buttons. Yay. Yay. For dummies like me.
The 620 and the 901? Well, like I said, the 901 has an iPhone app for it. It has the capability, as I said, of compressing the file a little bit more.
Did you find it,
It
Kevin?
has the capability of
I've heard
voice
of these.
balancing. It also has a built-in battery, and it comes with an AC adapter, unlike the 620.
What about recording quality and storage capacity? How do they compare?
They're very comparable, except that the 901 you can put in a high capacity up to a 64 megabyte digital memory card. You know, the micro SD cards. You can put that in there, and it'll support it. So that's one of the pluses for
Very
it.
gig.
Now
You mean
the
64 gig?
yeah.
Okay.
So then the downside of it, though, again, is that it doesn't get good reviews from a mainstream standpoint. I haven't seen very many good reviews of it on the website. They say that the iPhone apps don't work as well as advertised. It's been around for about a year and a half, it turns out. So I'm just very thankful that we can still get the 620s because this has been sort of the gold standard. The nice thing about it too is that of all the blindness recorders, it has the best audio quality that of all the commercially available recorders that talk for us and the menus record. While I'm waiting for that to come around, the next thing I wanted to do was actually demonstrate how to transfer files to the computer. And while I'm waiting for it to come around, I'm just going to lay a couple of ground rules. One, there are many ways to transfer files and many ways to do things on the computer. So I'm going to ask that you guys indulge me and not chime in with other ways until after we're finished, because the object is not to confuse people. The object is to keep it as simple as possible. And I know that we all have different methodologies that we use to do this process. And for those who need it or want it, I'll pass around my contact information at the end of the meeting, and you can email me, and I'll send these notes to you. But the other thing too, while the Olympus is going around, and Lynn would elbow me when it comes back. Man. Oh, okay, the Wilson. Thank you. But does anybody have any questions or thoughts that I can? If I don't know the answers, I'll make them up, or maybe somebody else.
For the Wilson, can you put SD cards in it, or
No.
is it just okay?
The Wilson is fixed.
Okay.
The nice thing about the newer version of the Wilson is that the newer version actually has an earphone jack on it. And I'm picky about that because I really think that with all of our portable technologies, we really all need to start carrying earbuds around with us. Because number one, you don't want to have the world know about the most intimate text message from your fiance, best friend, girlfriend, partner, what have you, as you're riding on a bus and you're listening to it. The other reason for earbuds is that with the advent of the talking ATM, those of you who are comfortable using it, that's the only way you'll know what's going on, is by plugging in earbuds. So, you know, I'm really big about earbuds and carrying them around. I never leave the house without my earbuds, you know, for that very reason, for all of those reasons. What other questions? I'm sorry, I didn't even derail this.
What's ATM?
The talking ATM.
You know, the talking
ATM, I didn't say F, I'm
No.
sorry.
Yeah, I don't think the alcohol, tobacco, and fire. Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm waiting for the talking assault rifle that tells me where the target is.
Oh, that's the Olympus. Yeah, it is kind of good.
Ma'am.
I think with the Olympus, at least with the one that I have, I think it initially had to be set up by someone who was sighted in order to activate the speech. I think there's like time and date
Here
or
goes
something in there.
In answer to your question
Okay.
about the Olympus,
Yeah, I have one of these.
the newer ones
Yeah.
about whether you have to have sighted assistance to set it up. The short answer is no. The long answer is no, but. Meaning, the no is that it'll come on when you power it on, and it'll say, basically, the first thing it says is if you want voice
I got one
guidance,
of
do
these.
such and such. If you don't, do such and such. Now, if you want to set in there, you do need sighted assistance for it. Although some of them, there is a way, if you listen and count the beeps. I heard an old podcast years ago on it. Personally, I didn't want to work that hard, so I never set it up on mine. You know, you've heard illusions, a lot of you've heard illusions before the thing started as to that I'm a lazy person. Well, you're absolutely right. I am.
No,
And I take pride
I'm
in
the
that.
queen of, I'm the queen of lazy. You don't know.
You know, when I lose a shirt, when I lose a button or something, I usually wait. I roll under the dresser and wait for the button to roll over and find it. What other questions?
Yeah, you know something, I had my 620 and I didn't know it even had voice guidance. And that's crazy. So how do you get it to activate the voice guidance? I just had my son do an audio file with instructions on what thing will do what or whatever, and he put it on the device for me, so I could listen back to figure out which buttons did whatever. But you're saying the voice guidance tells you each button and everything?
All right. Here's what we'll do. I have some external speakers, so I'm gonna connect the Olympus to those, and I will show you.
All this time I didn't know.
Okay.
Wow.
And I've had it for a couple of years.
Oh, I know. Oh, yeah, I like that sound. You know when it's on or off.
Now it said battery level high, so the first thing I'm gonna do, let's just hit play. Let's see, is the volume all the way up on my speakers? There they are. Okay, now, let's do this. I'm gonna press the button. Okay, first I'm gonna find my menus. So I'll press the middle button of the 3 on the top row. And I'm not gonna go through a detailed physical description of what I'm doing. But I'll tell you that there are 3 buttons across the top, just below the display. The middle button activates the menus.
File setting.
And it said file setting. And I'm going to turn this up a skosh more.
Record menu. Play menu.
Is that
And
coming through your speaker?
Yeah.
I know this is the best I can do, I think, but let me try something else here. Let me exit out of this. See if there's any files.
Question,
Sir.
is it necessary to be able to read the display to operate the Wilson 901?
No. The Wilson,
Olympus.
no, you don't need to. Now the Olympus, you won't need to either because it has voice guidance, and if I can get it to play nice.
Yeah.
Bear with me.
Folder. Folder A.
Does the Wilson operate Bluetooth?
No. The Wilson is a very straightforward recorder. All it does is record and play, and it's in the $40 price range.
That's
So-
right up my alley.
Say again?
I'm so tech savvy that that's right up my alley.
I know. It's a great little recorder.
All right, Patrick.
How much recording space you need?
The Wilson gives you up to 12 hours
That's
on the
probably
new
what I
one.
would get, the Wilson. That sounds like
Yeah.
right up my alley.
All right. Unfortunately, I'm not going to get any more volume out of this recorder
Wow.
than we have here now.
start recording now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'll go to the menus and I'll verbalize what it's doing each time I hit a menu key. That's probably the best that we can do. So I'm going to hit the menu key, which again is the middle button of the three.
File setting.
The first option is file setting. I'm going to press the down arrow, record menu, play menu, display and sounds, which I'm going to go into. I'll press the right arrow key, backlight setting, contrast, lamp, beat sound setting, language select. Now, voice guidance. So I'm going to press right arrow. Now, then it's at the on and off setting. I'll press down arrow. Guidance speed setting. But I want to go back up because I made a mistake. So I'll press right arrow at on and off setting. Right now it says on. I press down arrow. And that says off. Well, needless to say, I'm going to get out of there very quickly. So I'll press up arrow. On. I could have also pressed the down arrow because these menus wrap around in the Olympus. In other words, once you get to the last item, it automatically goes back up to the top. Well, I've got it set for on. At the on, I'm going to press the play button or the enter button in the middle of that little square / circular / rounded corner, whatever you want to call it, keypad.
On set.
It said on set. I'll press the stop, which is to the left above this little square keypad. And I'm now out of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, are there any other questions?
Thank you.
Yes, I have a question. I'd like to know about the language settings. What are the languages does it support besides English? You
I know it does French, Spanish,
good.
French, Spanish, and German. It will,
cool.
and that's only for the voice guidance features.
Okay.
You know, now I'm sure that visually on the screen it probably shows the files and all the menus visually too.
Okay, thank you.
So now I'm going to unplug this from the speakers because I'm going to make a test recording.
Now you're doing the 901 right now, right?
No, I'm not. I wish I had a 901 to do. This
Oh,
is
you're doing the 620?
Yes, the 620.
Okay, all right, cool.
Okay, so what I need to do first is I need to go back and make sure I'm where I want to be.
Now, of all the devices that you have talked about, which one do you think has the best quality of recording?
The Olympus.
Okay, good, then I got the right thing.
That's
Yeah.
what good.
And the beauty of the Olympus, it's the only one for if you care about setting the menus and voice quality and recording level and things like that, where all of these menus talk.
Oh, I wish I'd known that.
Well,
No,
I
you
know.
didn't.
I
I'm
know,
trying to
Donna.
figure out how to get that set up because I don't have the voice guides yet. So I have to remember how many times to go do the arrows and stuff.
I know.
So I
The
get
other
to
thing,
that spot.
the other thing that might work is if you take the batteries out for about an hour
Yeah.
and then put them back in, it'll treat it like it's a new recorder.
So,
I think.
So when it does that, what happens when you first turn on? It'll ask you
Yes.
voice guidance?
Lou, I have a question.
Yes.
On here. Does that recorder that you're working with now, can you use like a, what do you call it, USB if you want to transfer your recordings to your computer?
That's the next step that we're going to talk about. We're going to actually go through that process. Yeah, the short answer is yes.
Okay, great.
You can also, if you have a card adapter, you could pop the memory card out if you have using external memory cards. But generally, it's easier to just use the USB cable.
Thank
So,
you.
How much one of the Olympus cost?
the Olympus, I've seen it for between 100 and 150. Okay, what I have done, I've just set up this recorder to record a file in folder B. So the reason why, because the Olympus also gives you 5 folders in which you can record things. And the beauty of the 5 folders is, again, you can organize your stuff. Like folder A might be appointments. Folder B might be phone numbers. Folder C could be directions. Folder D could be recipes. And folder E could be whatever you wanted. You know, so you can, and that's the beauty of this recorder. So I'm going to make a quick recording just for test purposes and to show you how to transfer. So we'll do that. This is a test recording, at the TUG meeting at the Library for the Blind and Visually Handicapped, and physically handicapped too. So we don't discriminate at this library. Okay, now I'm just going to hit play to see. This is a testimony at the TUG meeting at the library. Okay, that's enough.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to do next, I am going to transfer this file to the computer. So what I'm going to do, I'll plug the cable in, and the first thing I'm going to do is I have to re-log into this computer because it quit on me, so bear with me.
Are you using a Mac or?
This is a Windows-based PC. If anybody is interested in how to do this with a Mac, I can, again, I'll give you my contact information. And say that again? Somebody say something?
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I can give anybody who cares and needs to know or wants to know, I can give you information on how to do this using the Mac. But for most of us have Windows computers, I'm assuming. So that's why I opted to do Windows.
Alt Control Delete. Bedrock Smith password edit. Type in text. Star, 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 star.
This is
star.
yours.
Enter. Folder view list view. Not selected recycle bins.
Yeah. Well, you see, I got this thing, you know, I have Star Wars on my phone, you know, my head's in the clouds, you know, what can I say?
Grown.
Okay.
It's sending a file to the computer from the Olympus.
That's correct. Uh-huh. And people were asking about the screen reader. I'm using JAWS, but I have one of the Real Speak voices, frankly, because it's the easiest to understand. Let's see. I've got spaghetti over here, guys. I just need to find the right cable and the right end. Good. Like most of us who are blind, my wires are all over the place in the back of my computer. Okay. Ah, there's a noise we wanted to hear. So it sees my USB device. So the first thing I'm going to do, what we're going to do, I'm going to go from finding the file, then we're going to actually, and then we're going to create a folder on the computer where we can put our files, and then we're going to actually do the transferring. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go through Windows Explorer. And there, again, as I said, there are a lot of ways to do this, but I'm going to press the Windows key and the letter E to get to Windows Explorer.
Windows E. Computer. Items view multi-select list box. Hard disk drives expanded. Not selected. Windows C. Local disk.
Okay, now I'm going to down arrow to where it says removable disk. I could probably get there quickly by pressing the letter R, but I want to make sure that I do this right.
Devices with removable storage expanded. Devices with removable storage 2-row header. DVD drive D. DM620F.
And that's what I want, the DM620. So I'm going to press space to highlight it. I may not have to, but I will.
Space. Enter.
Press enter.
DM620F. Items view multi-select list box. Not selected music. 12/31.
Now, this has several folders that Olympus gives you. There's a music folder. I'll press down arrow.
OL manual.
The OL manual is the manual. The manual in this is PDF, so it doesn't translate well because of the way that it's been formatted.
Podcast.
Podcasts, so that if you like podcasts, say NBC News or something like that, you can conceivably copy these to your digital recorder, and then if you want to sit outside or be like a sighted person and do your reading in the bathroom, you can stick it in a pocket and listen to it there. So I'll press down arrow.
Recorder.
Now I want to get into the recorder folder. So again, I'm going to highlight it with the space bar, and I'll press enter to open it.
Space. Enter. Recorder. Items view multi-select list box. Not selected. Folder A. 12/31/.
And I just press Control to shut him up. I'm going to go down to folder B, which is where I put this file.
Folder B.
Now I'll press highlight, space to highlight, and enter.
Space. Enter. Folder B. Items view multi-select list box. Not selected. DM620,101.mp3. 1/26/.
Okay, now it gave us a file name of DM620,101. The Olympus, one of the things, this is one of the advantages if you can get some eyeballs to help you set the clock. and the time, because it'll give you the date and time, and it's a much easier way to know when it's recorded. Some of the recorders, like the Stream and the book, well, the Stream doesn't, it just gives you a note name. Although on the newer one, it may very well, because you do have a clock in there to work with.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
It does not, it just gives you note 1, note 2.
It tells you what time, but you still hear like 0001.
But it does give you the time and the date that the file, that
Yeah.
the note was recorded?
Yes.
Okay. That makes it actually much easier to know, unless you've kept track of where, when, and where your files are recorded, the date or the number. So this is the file that we want, because I think it's the only file in folder B. So I'm going to highlight this and press enter just to make sure this is the file I want.
Space, enter. Now playing
This is a
battery.
test recording at the town meeting of the Library for the Blind and Visually Handicapped, and physically handicapped too. So we don't discriminate at this library. Okay. So what happened then, it just opened it up in Windows Media Player so that I could hear the file. Now, I'm going to close out Windows Media Player because I'm really not interested in this program anymore at this point. So I'm going to press Alt F4.
Alt F4. Folder B. Items view multi-select list. Rocks. DM.
Now, it just said Folder B, and if I let it continue babbling, it would have said the rest of the file name. So, what will happen now is that I am going to, this file is highlighted still, so I'm going to copy it with Control-C.
Copy selection to clipboard.
And it copied it over to the clipboard. Now what I'm going to do, I am going to open up, again, there are a lot of ways to do this. And this is Lou's way, not necessarily the right or wrong way, because you'll all have different methodologies for those of you who've done this before. But I like to open up another Windows Explorer window. So I'm going to do that with Windows E.
Windows E. Computer. Items view multi-select list. Rocks.
And I'm going to go down to the My Documents folder.
Devices with removed hard disk drives, 1 row header.
I'll press enter on this.
Space, enter.
Talk to me, darling.
Windows C.
Okay, there we go.
Enter. Windows C. Items view multi-select list. Rocks.
Now I'm going to do some shortcuts just to make this easier, but I want to find, this is a Windows 7 system, so I'm going to press U for users.
U, users.
I'm going to press right arrow to, or press enter to open up.
Space, enter, users. Items view multi-select list. Rocks.
I'm going to press L.
L, Linsky, L, Loud, L, Smith.
L Smith, that's me. So I'll press space,
Space,
enter.
enter, Smith. Items view multi.
Language, you're easily amused, my friend.
Document were named Lou, now under L.
Yes, exactly. Well, you see, I can't spell, so at least I know the first letter of my name. I wanted to prove that I'm smarter than I look, okay? So, now I'm going to press M.
M, my documents.
Okay, so I'll press space and enter to highlight this.
Space, my documents. Items view multi-select list. Rocks. Not selected, accessible.
Okay. Now, I'm going to use the applications key, or the, which basically opens up a, no, I'm sorry, I told you wrong. I use a lot of different computers, so I get these things mixed up. So I'm going to go to the Files menu at this point, and press Alt-F.
Alt-F, menu. Share with submenu. Shared new submenu.
Now, new is what I want, so I'm going to press enter on that.
Enter. Folder, F.
And I want a new folder, so I'll press enter.
Enter. Leaving menus. My documents. Items view.
And we're going to call this folder Audio Files.
AUDIO space FILES. Enter. Items view multi-select list. Rocks. New folder. 8/8/2015 10:46 a.m. file folder. 6 of 21. Audio files.
Okay. Now let me make sure I've got that one highlighted.
Audio files.
Good. Okay. So I'm going to press space and enter.
Enter. Audio files.
Now, you remember 1,000 years ago when we copied that file? Well, I'm going to paste it now with Control-V.
Pasted from clipboard. Items view multi-select list. Rocks. DM 620,101.mp3 1/20.
Now, that file name means so much to me because if you've got a lot of audio files in this folder, you may come back and ask yourself, what the heck was DM 620-101? Happily, we can rename that file. So I'm going to press space to highlight it.
Space.
And now I'm going to press F2. I mean, we can get to this using the menus, but it's much quicker this way. So I'll press F2.
F2. Edit. Type in text.
And at this point, I'm going to rename this file. We'll call it library chat.
LIBRA1 space AAT.
And I'll press enter.
Enter. Items view multi-select list box. Library chat.
Now, because I know this computer, and because I've created shortcuts for myself, I have a shortcut to the My Documents folder. So I'm going to go to my desk. I'm going to close out of this completely, out of this
Alt
window.
F4. Folder B.
And I'll close
Items
out of
B.
the
Alt
Olympus
F4.
window. And now I'm going to go to my desktop.
Windows M. Desktop. Folder view list view. Not selected recycle bin.
And I'm going to press M to get to my documents, and I'll press it several times.
M. Mozilla Firefox. M. Microsoft Excel. M. Microsoft Out. M. Microsoft Word 2010.
You guys can wake up, it won't be much longer.
Shortcut.
My document shortcut, that's exactly what I want.
Enter. My documents. Items view multi-select list box. Not selected accessible. 2/.
Now I'm in my documents, so I'll press the down arrow.
Audio files.
Audio files, that's the folder I just created. So I'll highlight, press enter.
Space enter. Shelf folder view. Items view list box read only. To move to an item, press the arrow keys. Items view multi-select list box. Not selected library chat.mp3.
Now, I want to highlight this, so I'll press space, and when I press enter,
Space. Library chat.
it should babble. This is going to be coming from the computer.
Enter. Now playing.
This is a test recording at a meeting at the Library for the Blind and Visually Handicapped. All right, you've heard me.
And
physically handicapped too. So, discriminated for blind. Stop. Okay. That's one of the nicer things I've said to my computer this morning. So that is essentially how we transfer files. Now, technically with Windows, we're supposed to reject our files. Some of us are not reject external drives. There's controversy that goes back and forth about that. In general, it's probably, you can get away with something like this with not having to go through the reject process. A Mac will scold you big time about it. Unfortunately, it's one thing I don't like about the Mac is he does have opinions. So I'm going to unplug this recorder, and there we're done. So that's how we transfer files to and from the computer. And again, when we're done, I'll give you guys my contact information if you want to shoot me an email, and we can do that. Actually, why don't we start this way? Hold on, I'm going to give you a stack of these. These are my cards.
Okay.
And you can send them around. Where's your hand other than on the end of your arm?
Okay.
We
Do
need
you have
that
to
part.
use like a specific type of USB to do that, or can you get any type?
It's got to have a mini USB plug on the end, depending on the recorder. You know, usually the cable that comes with your digital recorder will work.
Yeah.
And I would highly recommend starting with that, actually. Okay, that basically ends the formal part of what I was going to talk about. Does anybody have any questions that I can try and answer?
Where can you get this Olympus?
Say that again?
Where can you get this Olympus?
The Olympus, you can find that at Office Depot. Some of the blindness places sell it. Staples. You may, Best Buy may sell it.
You can get the Olympus at Staples?
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice. For how much?
I've seen it for around between 100 and 150. List is $149 for the Olympus, but Olympus has been trying to get rid of these recorders, I think, so you may be able to do better. You can also
Federation sells them also.
say that again.
The Federation sells.
Oh, okay. I didn't know they were selling them. You know, you can also get them through Amazon if you're an online shopper. So, you know, yeah. What other questions does anybody have?
Does it matter what kind of recorder you're working with, other than? I mean, does it matter? I mean, can you take that file after you've named it? Can you put it back on the recorder and play it?
You can put it on anything. and it's still on the recorder. Now, if I wanted to delete it, I could do that, but I didn't want to delete it. I just left it there.
But does, I mean, with the new name?
Oh.
Yes, well, the recorder won't tell you, the Olympus will not tell you the file.
Kathy, here are the cards.
Now, products that are blinded specific, like the Victor Stream,
Cards.
or the BookSense, or the Blazy Z products, or the Bookport, they will tell you the file names. The Olympus won't verbalize it, which is one of the drawbacks of it.
I have a question. Can you add to that file if you need to?
Unfortunately, no. That's the one drawback of digital recorders, unless you have, there are some that will let you edit and add and divide files and things like that, but in general, they won't.
You can get I think you can, although I have not been able to really locate it, I think there's some application or software that you can get online that allows you to do that. But
Well, that's true. There's one that is accessible, and they actually have written a user guide for JAWS users called Audacity. You know, and that's one for the Mac. The one that gets the best reviews from what I've seen is Amadeus Pro in terms of its accessibility and usability. In fact, there's actually a book you can buy that talks you through how to use it blind. So, you know.
I did something a little bit similar with the Victor reader stream when I went up to the Seeing Eye the last time. I had some friends who wanted to know what my training experience was like, so I recorded everything on the Victor, you know, kind of kept a day-to-day running log. When I got home, using the cartridge style, or the library for the blind style cartridges that our books are on,
Yes.
you know, the blank ones that you can get from APH, I transferred the files from the Victor onto the computer, and then from the computer onto the digital cartridges, and just mailed them off to my friends. And you know, pretty similar thing. Where you just, you know, do cut and paste and moving, and you know getting to the appropriate folder, so on. So it's pretty easy.
Directly onto the cartridge from the new Victor Stream, I believe. Maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong, because I know you can connect and place books with it, you know, with a USB cable. You know, a special one that you have to have that will fit the end of the cartridge. But so since you can connect it directly, I think you could have gone without doing that extra step, couldn't you? Do you know, Lou?
I was just going to say, I don't know, and I'm saying, when I say I don't know, I mean I don't know. If Humanware makes a cable that allows you to directly connect to that micro USB port.
Yeah, it's a little short cable.
Yeah,
It's a little short cable.
And does it have that funky connector
Yes.
for the NLS
Yeah,
cartridge?
it does. I
Well,
have
that's
one.
good.
It comes with the new one.
So you could do that, you're right. But the other thing is, so the beauty of using the stream and using its little SD card internally is it's less hardware to carry.
Well, yeah, but I meant, I was
Yeah.
referring to what she did by copying it to the computer and then copying
Yeah,
it to the cartridge.
yeah.
That way she wouldn't have to go that extra step. That was my point. She
I
could
see.
have copied it directly to the cartridge, to cartridges to send her friends from the Victor Stream internally.
Yeah, what I did was I put the SD card into a card reader and put it into the computer. I had the original Victor, and I don't know, I'm just more comfortable taking the SD card out and putting it in the card reader and putting that in the computer. And like Lou said, there's 6 million different ways to do
Yeah.
stuff. So
And that's probably
but-
what I would
Might
have
even
done.
be able to do it on the old one too, because you could use that little pigtail on the old one, I think. But the other thing they had, remember it had that cartridge holder thing that you could put on the back of the Victor Stream. You know, you could put the cartridge in there, you know, and play on. So you might be able to record directly to them. I never tried it on the old one, but you might be able to.
with those cartridges, how much space is in those?
I think it's 8 gig, isn't it?
There are different ones. I
Yeah,
have
there's
some that
different
started out
sizes.
that only had 2 gig, and then they came up with ones that had more. You know, I mean, over the years, they've gotten better.
Well, I know when I was looking online, because I ordered a bunch of them for work, and I think they're, the ones I know, the ones I saw were 8 gig anyway.
Yeah, I think they have those now. In the beginning, they did, but they eventually got to them. They discovered using one of them. You know, they wanted to add more storage than that.
You don't handles that other than a flash drive that you put in the library?
Yes, they do sell 8 gig cards.
I wasn't aware of when
We
it was
haven't
over.
found that yet. We looked under Perkins. Where do the gig cartridges?
Well, I think I saw them at American Printing House, and I also think I saw them at National Federation of the Blind Store. Online.
Down there, but for
And you don't even need to go, you can get them all mail order too, you know, you just order them
Yeah.
online, you know. But you'll also,
we can find any of them for, because we.
Yeah.
you may be right, maybe it is 4, come to think of it.
Yeah, I thought it was only 4 too, but
You could be, you
No,
may
they
be-
had 2 in the beginning, I know they did. I have some 2 and I have some 4, that's I know.
Yeah,
They're both.
that's the biggest we found.
I think you're right, it is 4. Like I said, there's a lot of numbers floating around in my head this
Well, I
morning,
wish
so.
they were.
I wish they
bigger.
were 8
I wish
gig.
they were bigger. Well, they told my husband that he could download, like flash drive up to 16 prior little digital books. Above that, it wouldn't handle it.
Yeah,
Because I read a lot. He downloads the books for me.
and Jerry can probably address this better than I can, but I've found sometimes the flash drive, I've had mixed results with flash drives on the NLS players.
Yeah,
Kind of all
Yeah, it
depends
depends
what
on the
brand.
kind you get, yeah.
yeah.
So,
What are the problems with flash drives?
some work and some don't.
Right.
Yeah.
The only player that I have is the one from here, and that seems to handle a flash drive fine.
I've always kind of liked I'm kind of partial to the Kingston ones.
They were one of those.
Control.
Cartridges also allow you a place to put some braille in, right?
I used Alt F4 to exit Windows Media Player. But on this computer, sometimes it works.
I have a totally unrelated question, but it is an interesting, valid question. How do you get, where do you get your cards? I mean, you don't make them up manually. Do you?
No.
Right?
Well, in a way I do, in a way I don't. I have what Donna's asking about is some business cards that I sent around. The American Printing House for the Blind makes a device called an impressor. And what I do, I took my work business cards and they will put like 2 or 3 lines of braille on the card. And that, well, not on the card, but they make a little stamper that essentially you put the card in it and you push down on the handle and it punches it through.
Oh. That's something.
Oh, yeah?
How much-
I didn't know you could get those.
I didn't know
wondered
about
how you
that
got
either.
those made, and you had to
Wow.
send them somewhere to have them made or what, you know?
Well, there is a place called Access USA that makes them. And I know a friend of mine who works at Staples, and she found a place up in Pennsylvania somewhere that will make them.
We'll make what, the stampers?
The Braille business cards.
Oh.
The Braille cards for you. You know.
We would like a couple of your cards, Lou.
Okay, I sent them around, but I think where did I put the ones in there? There they are. If they didn't make their way around, here's more. I'll send them around to my right. Hilda, can I?
She didn't get it.
Oh,
If you got your- if you got your-
those folks behind us.
Oh, okay.
I understand.
You know, the phones will also read the files. Name.
Good question. I think that the phones will. That was the one that was a milestone that I was referring to.
Correct.
Yeah.
But phones 312 now.
Yeah, it's up, is it up to the 312 or the 3, I don't know what it's up to now.
And the mild.
And that can be any of the MP3s, and you have to have a special folder to put those in.
That's, I believe so, yes.
Say yes?
I believe so. But but I think it actually has the capability where, both for MP3 and DAISY files, so, so you do have that option.
Any other questions for Lou?
Lou, I'm bringing you your cards back.
Oh, I need a card. Yeah, we should
card?
get them. Yeah, she should get one on
I'm
my
just
left.
gonna come around with them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Linwood just asked me a very interesting question. Is there software that you can take a DAISY file and bring it over to MP3? The short answer is I don't think so, because part of the problem is that the DAISY books and the DAISY things, they're specially marked up. You may be able to get away with transferring the audio files, but I'm honestly not sure.
There's copyright issues.
That's copyrighted material.
You have to mark it up.
Yeah,
like
they have
that
purpose to
originally.
protect.
Well, now, it depends on if it's copyrighted or not, because some of the recorders do give you the capability of creating your own DAISY files. So you may want to record your own personal recipe collection in a DAISY format. Maybe one heading level one might be
Right, like you
meats.
said, Luke, you take those voice files
Yeah.
and you can salvage those, but it's not gonna be marked up. You can
Right.
put it in order.
That's the problem, if you do that.
Come here often.
Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Speak now, forever hold your peace.
Anything else before I turn off Jerry's recorder?
What do you record the daisies in?
What do you mean, in?
I
Do you
mean,
mean
is it
what
a text,
recorder?
is it a text file, is it a, what is it? I'm
What?
not familiar with that, so.
What system or what?
He means what format is the DAISY
Ah,
file?
DAISY, it's a specialized format that was really developed, and Jerry helped me out here, for a lot of blindness-specific material. Because it can be marked up by heading, by paragraph, by phrase, by word, not by word, but, you know, by, I think phrase is the smallest level you can get down.
Verse, like they do the religious material and stuff like that.
So you can get, I know the book will record in DAISY format. I don't know about the newer stream, but I know the bookport will still
Yeah,
let you.
bookport does, or you know, also known as the Flex Hub, will do it.
I'm sorry.
No, I noticed your business card only has your name and phone number on it. There's no email address on it.
Because there's not enough room.
That's not right.
But I'll give you my email, now, you know. But what, I'm sorry, sir, in the back, you didn't hear what Jerry had just
No, I
said?
didn't hear what he said.
Jerry, what was it you were saying? Because I'm trying to remember back that
Well,
far.
yeah, I said the bookport and the also known, you know, as its brother, the Flex Talk, will record in DAISY format. But it's a very basic, simplified DAISY
Did
format.
you say the book smart?
Bookport,
Bookport.
P-O-R-T,
Okay.
and then the Plex Talk.
What's that? I've never heard of
Flex
that.
talk.
Plex.
Plex,
Talk.
the Plex Talk is the older version of the Bookport, and it was, it's another digital recorder, book player.
I believe they're being managed by Freedom Scientific now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Freedom Scientific Reader has an excellent book that explains the DAISY format and how to use it.
And that can be read audibly. Can it also
Yeah,
be read on a
audibly.
braille display?
Or you can read it audio if you have JAWS or the FS Reader
Yeah.
program, it'll play that.
So it's basically a text kind of format, but, and how about the, you can export it into an HTML format from Word?
HTML, you probably could, but I don't know, and I don't misunderstand, but I don't know why you would want to, you know, because it's pretty well laid out, you know.
Well, I'm saying if you did it in Word, then you could export it into a HTML, which allows you to go by headings and stuff.
Right, you can do that.
But then I don't know what else you can play it other than JAWS. I mean, the Victor is very easy to carry with you.
Yes, agreed. You could do it that way.
Compared to carrying a laptop.
That's
I should have brought my, I feel bad, I should have brought my digital recorder to pass around for everybody, even though it's kind of old.
still
I don't
works.
even know what it is, to be honest. I got it at Target. And it's just a very basic, no. There's no talking menus, but there's a recording player right next to each other, and then there's only 5 buttons on this thing.
I turned it off, Gary. Don't worry about it.
There's only 5 buttons on this thing, and basically, the record button is on the top.